Why won't council let me rip out the front window on my pre-1911 house and replace it with a nice cute little bay window? That was a question that I got hit with last week from a client. And at the time, I was buried deep in superhero decorations for my nephew's 5th birthday. And I came up with what I think is a great superhero analogy. I was just like, oh, that is hitting. I like that one. So I thought, hey, in this week's video, why don't I share that analogy with you guys? And yes, just in case you were wondering, the superhero decorations, they were a hit. Now, I have had a little bit of time to kind of mull over this whole idea or this analogy in the time since I spoke to this guy. And with hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But with hindsight, I've kind of come to realize it's probably being like a little bit dramatic with what I said to him. It doesn't quite hold true. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the original version of the analogy, and then I'm going to share the updated version with you guys. So what I said to this guy was, you need to imagine a scenario where you've got Superman and Batman. And what you're going to do is you're going to rip off the head of Batman. Sounds dramatic, but rip off the head of Batman and put it onto Superman. What do you end up with? Superhero, right? Wrong. Like you end up with this weird Frankenstein-y kind of thing that no one really identifies with. No one knows quite what it is. Yeah. Like I said, hindsight, I'm like, yeah, swapping out the odd window here and there. It's not quite the same as ripping the head off the superhero and putting it on a different body. So more likely I'd say, like if you're enclosing a front veranda and breaking up the whole front facade, yeah, that's more like ripping heads off. But a little window, not quite that drastic. So my updated version of the analogy is to say that it's more like mixing and matching Marvel and DC. Which I'm going to be honest with you guys, I did not even know was a thing until last week. Like there's so many people when they asked me what I was doing last weekend, I was like, okay, so I got this birthday decorations, blah, 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 filled them in and they're, oh, were you doing Marvel or DC? And I'm like, Superman, Batman, Hulk, there's this thing called Captain America and Iron Man. I don't know what they are, but he loves them, so I'm going to throw them in there. And people, in particular my stepbrother, were just like, oh, what do you mean you're mixing and matching? I can't believe it. And I'm like, it's superheroes. What are you talking about? Same thing when it comes to these Queenslander houses. So to people like me who don't really understand superheroes, who didn't grow up with these modern things like Iron Man and all of that sort of stuff, I'm like, it's superheroes, who cares? Same Queenslanders, it's a Queenslander window, Queenslander house, character, matchy, it all works, right? But for the superhero fans, aka the Queenslander aficionados, we look at them and just go, oh, you're mixing and matching eras. Like bay windows were not commonplace on workers' cottages or standard sort of houses until like the 1920s or 30s. Yes, they were present prior to 1911, but they're on the fancy schmancy houses and just used in a totally different way. So you can't just go and mix and match those styles, those eras. It just does not work. So the main point I want to say today is what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about rear extensions, big side extensions, any of that sort of stuff. When it comes to those sort of additions, the idea of using different and contrasting styles actually works more often than not because it helps you read the old from the new. What I'm talking about this scenario is we're going and tweaking little components, little windows on a pristine original component. And what I want to say is I'm not sitting here preaching to you guys going, oh my goodness, you should not do that. The purpose of this video, because going back a step, the world would be a very boring place if everyone did what I thought was aesthetically pleasing. We need a variety of outcomes to create visual interest in our city. And what I love would just become boring and mainstream if everyone did it. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my goodness, you have to copy, you can't mix and match styles, blah, blah. The purpose of today's video is to go, if you go and propose something like that in one of your designs and we lodge it with council, then more than likely you're going to be met with opposition. Council's not necessarily going to like it. And I wanted to use today's video to help explain why council's not going to like it. Because you're mixing Marvel with DC and the people who understand superheroes are not going to be happy about that going on. So I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3. What was my number 3? Oh, yeah. The views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.